Good morning, everybody. Let us start with Prarthana.
Om. 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 Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Sesivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Viknopashantaye. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamasravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anasrunvanutibhis Siddhasadanam. Om Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Prano Devi Saraswati Vaje Pirvajinivati Dhinam Avitriyavatu. Om Sri Maha Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara Swachaya Anma Pramadaha Matrudevo Bhava Pitrudevo Bhava Acharya Devo Bhava Atithi Devo Bhava. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya. Om Sadasiva Samarambham Vyasa Sankara Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Dhanyavadaha Vishalakshiji. Good morning, everybody. Yesterday, while introducing Dr. Prabhuji, I was very brief and I missed out a lot of very important details. Like, he is the founder, chairman, and managing trustee of Vishwa Yoga Vidyapeeth, which has got activities in various countries. And, he is from IIT Bombay, and he did MTech from there. Also, he delivers a lot of lectures to the alumni of as a forum. They have a forum, alumni forum, where even this Upanishads, many series of lectures he delivers there is currently going on, and he delivered a lot of lectures through VSS, through webinars during last 2 years on science and technology in Sanskrit literature textbooks. So this is another important thing which I missed out. He is the Director General in the grade of Scientist G, National Informatics Center, and he established a national data center at Hyderabad. Like this, there are many, a series of webinars with VSS, I already told you, and he is the chairman of ACM, not only the member, he is the chairman for ACM, CSI, and founder, vice chairman of CCICI, that is Cloud Computing Innovation Council of India. And he has chaired and organized many national and international internet conferences, and of course wrote many conference papers. Like this, if I keep telling, his biodata, which is running into many pages, most of the time, like, this 1.5 hour will not be sufficient to cover the very important aspects. So yesterday I was very brief. I'm sorry for that. So I welcome. Let us welcome Prabhuji and start his second series of his lecture on Upanishads. Prabhuji.
Thank you, Babu Garu. So kind of you to have introduced me once again. I appreciate your efforts. So we'll start with the Ishavasya Upanishad once again, and we'll also cover Mandukya Upanishad today. And tomorrow we'll try to cover Taittiriya Upanishad, and that's all is our Upanishad series. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yesterday we have approached the Upanishadic Vedanta, the Brahma Tattvam through physics, and we have understood that there is only one truth of existence, X or Brahman, which manifests itself as different forms of matter or different forms of energy with the relativity of the observer system of space-time framework. So depending on the observer's own system of space-time framework, a particular perception of the reality of the universe is observed either in particular forms of matter or particular forms of energy or their combinations. So this multivariate manifestation of the universe is called Maya, given by the variable chi in Schrodinger's equation, dou square chi by rho square, as he himself explained. So this being the case, from the physics perspective, though not in terms of the same equations, the Upanishads, which are derived from the Vedic Samhitas, also presented the same perspective, right up to Adi Shankaracharya, presenting the concept of Maya and defeating the nihilism of Buddhists. And through the concept of Advaita, which was propounded originally by Upanishads, as explained by the Karika or the commentary of Gaudapada. And Gaudapada was the great grand teacher of Adi Shankaracharya. So in his Karika of Mandukya Upanishad, he has explained the entire Advaita Siddhanta, a proposition which has been proved with logic by Adi Shankaracharya in a framework called Advaita, presenting which he could defeat all the existing philosophical systems of his times around 500 BC. So today we'll be restarting the Ishavasya Upanishad, which we left yesterday. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagatyena chaktiya bunjitham agvita kasyas vidhanam. So the word Ishwara or Isha is a kind of partial personification of Brahman. In fact, there is a hierarchy of type hierarchy. Like, if you have the object type hierarchy like man, and under man there will be categories of man, children, adults, and old. And then under children there will be 5 years, 10 years, like that categorization. And adults will be students, professionals, and again students, engineering students, medical students, and so on. This is a categorization of type hierarchy. So in that kind of type hierarchy, if you have the Nirguna Parabrahman at the top, then next to it will be Saguna Brahman, and then next to it will be Ishwara, and then next to it will be Ishtadevata. So the Upasana which is performed to Ishtadevata, I explained to you what is Devata and what is Brahman yesterday. So when you perform upasana through Ishtadevata, like say Shiva, then it automatically is a subset or subtype of Ishwara, which is a subtype of Saguna Brahman, and which is a subtype of Nirguna Brahman. So all will fall in line, all will be viewed from that window of Ishtadevata. Devata could be anyone. It could be Surya, it could be Shakti, Adiparashakti, or it could be Shiva, or it could be Narayana. So now he's talking of Ishwara, it means also Brahman. Ishavasya midam sarvam yat kinchit jagatyam jagat. Whatever little you see in this whole universe is spread by Ishwara, in and out. Is owned by Ishwara, is a manifestation of Ishwara. Therefore, you don't start thinking that something belongs to you and therefore you grab from others and all that kind of thing. Then what should you do? Kurvanne heva karmani jijiveshat samaha evan pai nanyad hedasti na karma na lipyate. So you shall perform action throughout your life for the benefit of the universe, for the benefit of devatas, and for the benefit of humans. Asurya namate loka andhena tamasavruta taste precha bhigachanti yete atmahanojana. On the contrary, if you don't understand the self, you go against yourself. If you indulge in conflict, we have just now chanted, Vishalakshi chanted one mantra, Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunattu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastuma Vidvishavahai. So if you work together, then you will get fruits, you can enjoy together. But if you have conflicts, then you will be destroyed. Atmahano Janaha, you will become self-destructive. Who will be doing self-destruction activities? Those who don't have unity, those who don't have perception of oneness. They land into dark worlds. Asurya namate loka andhena tamasavta tamste pretya vigachanti eke chatmahano jana. So those people who destroy themselves will land in dark worlds. Anejidam meko manasojani yo naina deva apnuan purvamatsat tadhavato anya chetitishtat tasminna apo matrishva dadhati tadejit tanejit tadure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadupasyasya bahyataha yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyeva anupasyati sarvabhuteshu atmanam tato na vijugupsate yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanatah tatra ko moha ko shoga ekatvam anupashyatah. Now, the rest of the Upanishad is dedicated to explain the nature of the self, nature of Ishwara, nature of Brahman, nature of God. Though the word God is Christian, which is distorted and diluted and misleading version of Ishwara, or it could be just Devata, or it could be even worse than Devata. The word Allah used by Muslims, the word God used by Christians, it could be partially the same as what we are explaining in this Upanishad as Ishwara, but it is not complete understanding or definition. So he is explaining the nature of the self, capital S self. Now yesterday I also told about Sat and Chit and Ananda. Sat Chidananda is the nature of the Brahman. Sat is the existence, essence, that is X Brahman, and Chit is consciousness or self. Now each one of us is saying I. Even an ant says I, amoeba also says I. And even Chaturmukha Brahma in Brahmaloka also says I. So right from an ant up to Brahma, everybody is saying I. Brahmadi Pipilikantan Shuprokta Jagat Sakshini Saevaham. That I is the same in all. If you take a dog, dog also feels I. It doesn't feel I'm dog and all that. If there's a black man, you will not say I'm black. You simply feel I. The pure consciousness, this Chetana, Pratyak Chetana, Pratyagatma, self, is independent of all attributes of qualities or conditionings or descriptions, etc., etc., etc. Because each one of us who is sitting in this class today is just feeling the sense of I for himself or herself. He's not feeling I'm Bengali, I'm Andhra, I'm Brahmin, I'm Reddy. He's not feeling all those things. Those things are mental attributes, thoughts, processes. But pure consciousness, I-ness, is attributeless. Nirguna, Nirakara, Nirvikara, Niranjana, Nirvikalpa. And all these individual I-ness are identical in being attributeless, qualityless. So, though they exist in multiplicity, Vyavasthito Nana in Vaiseshika, another says, in practice, there are multiple selves. Each one of these hundreds and thousands and lakhs and millions of selves, even an ant or amoeba or right up to Brahma. In between, we have various devatas, various humans. But though it is multiple in practice, in reality, it is only one. Just like if you take any dravya, any substance, like if you take water, water in my bottle and water in your bottle and water in Ganga river in Calcutta and water in Gangotri and water in Gaumukh, is it all same or different? The contaminations are different, but it is the same water. Am I right? So in the same way, Akasha, space, the space in my room here, the space in your room, space in Prabhakar Rao's room, Visalakshi's room, or even George Bush's room or Trump's room or any other room, is Akasha same or different? Space is same or different? Though the contents and the attributes are different, space, Akasha is one and the same, whether it is on Earth or is on Jupiter. So space and time and various substances do have instances of occurrence, but the object is the same. So object hierarchy may be there, subtype hierarchy may be there, aggregation hierarchy may be there, but space is same or object is same. So the self, though multiple occurrences exist in lakhs and millions and billions, but self has to be same. The I-ness has to be the same. That one self which is there in every one of us is called Atma or Paramatma. So he is explaining that. And when you explain that, how will you explain it? You cannot say it is here or it is there. Tadejate, tannayate, tadure, tadvantike, tadantarascha, bahischa, tadupasyasya, sarvataha. It is there everywhere, spread everywhere. Ishavasya vidam sarvam, because everywhere concept comes from space. And in relativity theory, space itself doesn't exist. So what exists is Brahman alone. That is self alone. So yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva vidbhut vijanataha tatra ko mohakka shokaha ekatvam anupashyataha. Now this understanding of the profound truth of oneness of everybody and everything, if you realize it on your own, if you experience it, discover it, if you can really understand it and empathize and feel it, then what will happen? Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanataha. When you know that you yourself are there in each one of them, I am there in each one of you, I am there in each one of the things around me. Chimalo, Brahmalo, Tyagaraja says, in an ant and in Brahma or everywhere spread without any gaps. Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarvabhuta Vyavasthita. I am the self of all beings. So when you realize that you are one with everyone, everything, you are one with all the audience. I am the speaker, you are the audience, but I am same as all of you. The moment I realize, in fact, when I am talking this, all of us are getting into the same thought, same knowledge, same level. So we are all one. So that oneness, when I realize, I will not have sorrow, conflict. Sorrow comes out of conflict and desires and delusions, moha and shoka. So the best way to transcend all negativity, negative emotions, is to realize your oneness. That is called self-realization. I hope you are able to understand, appreciate what I am saying. In fact, it is not possible to have anything other than oneness. All the duality, multiplicity is an illusion, as we have already discussed yesterday and today. Paryag achukram akayam avranam asnavidam shuddham apapavidham kavir manishi paribhu swayambhu adhatadhyato ardhan vyatadhas Ashwatibhya Samabhya. Now, when you take this whole thing as one, that is God, Ishwara, Paramatma, Brahman, what is its nature? It is bodiless, Akayam, Avranam, Asnavayam, Shuddham. It is pure, Apapavidham, Kavir Manishi. It is full of knowledge. It is transcendental being. It is not a person. Avyaktam Vyaktimapannam Manyante Mam Abuddhayaha Param Bhavamajananto Mam Bhuta Maheshwara. I am not a person, Krishna says. Only fools think that I am a person. I am the Maheshwara, the Ishwara of everything. So that realization of the self or Ishwara as one entity which is manifesting as multiple entities, each one of us, each one of the beings. That is unity in diversity and diversity in unity. One in everything. Once you realize that, and that is full of knowledge, Swayambhu, it is born on its because there is no birth or death. Paribhu, tataha adhyato, ardhan dadadha, shati bhisamabhya. Andham tamah pravishanti avidyam upasate, tato bhuyevate tamoya vidyavu mrata. Anyadevahur vidyaya, anyadahur avidyaya, iti sushrumadhiranam, yenastad vichachakshire, vidyancha vidyamcha yattad vedo bhayamcha. Avidyaya mrutyum tirtva, vidyaya amrutam asmute. These sentences are very, very perplexing statements. They can be interpreted in many ways. Many gurus have interpreted in many different ways. We take Adi Shankaracharya's interpretation as standard, as given in these books by Ramakrishna Math publications. But there are other commentaries also, like many other acharyas have commented. We have 25 Siddhantas, not only one Advaita. Advaita is the first and foremost and most strong and popular. But then we have Visishtadvaita also, Dvaita also, Visishtadvaita by Ramanujacharya, Dvaita by Madhvacharya, and Dvaita Dvaita, and then Suddhadvaita, and and so on. These concepts people have their own interpretation. They're like that 25 acharyas gave 25 Siddhantas. If any one of you wants to become acharya, you can raise your hand now and tell you want to become, and then you have to write three things. One is you have to write a commentary to the Upanishads, all 11 Upanishads. And you have to write a commentary to all the Brahma Sutras, there are hundreds of them. And then you have to write a commentary to Bhagavad Gita. If any one of you is willing to do these three activities with your own theory, then you also become one of the acharyas. It is very difficult, it is almost impossible. But these acharyas have done it over centuries, and they differed slightly. They differed at a hair-splitting argument, micro level, nano level, they differed from each other. Otherwise, it's all the same. But for ordinary people like us, all of them are same. But they differ in polemics, hair-splitting arguments they make. And they think they have given a new theory, but which others don't understand anyway. And the previous acharyas also don't understand because they don't exist. But Shankaracharya existed around 500 BC, and Ramanujacharya came around 1200 AD, 1000 AD, 1200 AD, and he wrote a different commentary. And he cannot meet Shankaracharya, and Shankaracharya cannot meet him, and they cannot verify. And similarly, much later after Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya came in hundreds of years later. So all the acharyas can never meet each other. And they kept on diverting, from one to the other, slight deviations. And their disciples keep on fighting with each other. So ISKCON says that Shankaracharya is wrong, as if they know what Shankaracharya wrote and they understood. It's very difficult to understand. Even what is Maya, it's very difficult to understand. I gave you a physics perspective. No other speaker will give. There are many speakers on Upanishads. Some of them are right in this group. They will explain their own way, but nobody will give a physics interpretation which I give. So it is easy to get a physics understanding of Advaita than any other understanding, because those people who don't know physics, they try to understand from basics. It's very difficult and very complex. So here, Vidyam cha avidyam cha yattat vedo ubhayam saha avidyaya mrutyum tirtva vidyaya amrutam asnute. He made a very perplexing statement. There are two, vidya and avidya, knowledge and ignorance. And you can transcend death possibly by avidya, by ignorance, but you cannot become immortal. Whereas through vidya, you become immortal. This is a statement. Vidyam cha avidyam cha yattad vedo ubhayam saha. He who knows both, he will transcend death by avidya, but become immortal by vidya. What does this mean? Is it some kind of a riddle? What is transcending death and what is immortality? Both are differently being shown. And also that avidya will help in transcending death and vidya will make you immortal. There are many interpretations. It takes a lifetime, more than lifetime. But I'll give you a very simple interpretation, which I understood from some of the lectures and speeches and commentaries. Avidya is referring to all non-spiritual knowledge. Because in the Bhagavad Gita also, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam Satya Jnana Adhadarshanam Etad Jnanam iti Proktam Ajnanam Yatatonyadha. So what is Jnana or what is Vidya is only the spiritual Adhyatma is Jnana, and all other knowledge is Ajnana or Avidya. Physics, chemistry, mathematics, etc., etc., etc. Law, history, geography, all this is categorized under avidya. Not that it is not knowledge, but it is not knowledge of the self. It is knowledge of the world. Therefore, it is considered avidya. So he is telling you can transcend death through avidya. That means medical science is also, which is also avidya, can take you to a stage where you can transcend death. Like, you can be saved from death. Now, today, a lot of people have died during COVID, but some people have been saved. Or, if you go to hospital, some critical care patients will be there. Some of them will be saved. And suppose when you and I are going to die, suppose you have a good doctor, luckily, which is very rare, then you may be saved from death. But you cannot become immortal. Amrit nahi ho sakte. You can transcend death. Maybe a day will come after 100 years that man will not die thanks to technology and science. He wants to die, he will die. Like Bhishma wanted to die, so he died. There is no death for him. You can transcend death, but you don't become immortal. Because if you simply transcend death, you still have the problems of your emotions, negative emotions, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, and ahankara, and deha, abhimana, and identifying yourself with the body, and all that nonsense will be there. Even though you are alive, it's not that you are very happy and liberated. Most of the people, 99.999% of the people are suffering when they are alive, because they don't realize themselves as a self which is immortal. So, Vijaya Amrutamasnute. Vijaya is Jnana, Atma Jnana, Brahma Jnana, which we are trying to acquire through the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutras. If you acquire that, then you realize that you are the deathless, birthless, timeless, spaceless, eternal self, Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. When you realize that, then there is no death for you. You are immortal. So that is what he means by Vijaya Amrutamasnute. This is by understanding one interpretation. Andhattama pravishanti ye sambhutim upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo yau sambhutyarataha anyadevahu sambhavat anyadahur asambhavat iti susrumadhiranam yenas tadvisishikshire sambhutim cha vinasim cha yastad vedo bhayam saha vinasena mrutyum tirtva sambhutya amrutamasnute. Again, similar contradictory statements are being made. Sambhuti and Mrityu. Sambhuti is birth, creation. Now, one statement which is quoted by Muslims here is those who worship creation will go to hell. It is written here. What they interpret is creation means all objects in creation, like sun, moon, and earth, and all that. So all Hindus who are worshipping sun, who are worshipping earth, they will all go to hell. That is how they interpret. So they say, don't worship creation, but worship creator. Fine. But who is that creator and where is that creator? That creator is manifest only through creation. Can you see creator without creation? You can only see creation. So when I ask them, what is the status of creation? If creator is all powerful, all supreme Allah, then what about creation? It is independent, parallelly independent and all powerful, all supreme as Allah. Is it possible? Then you cannot say that. So creation actually doesn't exist. That's what Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avasishyate. So creation is only a manifestation of the creator. Creator cannot be seen. It can be only creation can be seen. So Sambhuti, Asambhuti. So those who worship Sambhuti will go to hell. And that's what is my understanding and interpretation. What they say is partly true, because if you think that a table is God, or a chair is God, or one tree is God, or one grass blade is God, then you are obviously living in delusion. But in our Hindu worship, that is not the case. When we worship Surya through Gayatri Mantra, you are worshipping Paramatma, Parabrahman through the window of Devata of Surya. Similarly, Saraswati, if you take any Devata's prayers, if you take, say, Sahasranam or Ashtotranam of, say, Devi, say, Durga Devi, it will be clearly mentioned Parabrahma Swarupini. She is not just Durga. She is Parabrahma herself, himself, or itself. So similarly, Ganesh also. Ganesha, there is one Adharva Sirsha where Ganesha is described as Parabrahman. And similarly, Surya also. Surya Atma Jagata Satsujascha. The Gayatri Mantra describes Surya, and with the window of Surya, the Parabrahman. So all Devatas are windows to Parabrahman. This is not understood by Muslims and Christians. They think all Hindus worship parts of nature, parts of creation like fools. They are not worshipping. And they also think they worship stones and idols. They are not worshipping stones and idols. They are worshipping Devatas, who are the windows to Parabrahman, and that's the only way you can approach. You cannot approach Parabrahman directly, because it is infinite, eternal, imperceptible, unthinkable, and unimaginable. You have to go through the Devatas. The reason why all the Islamic countries are having misery, because there is no realization. There's blind belief, and as a result, there will be conflict. Because that so-called Allah, whom they worship, he cannot be understood. And they just blindly worship something which they don't understand. Here it's not like that. We understand things. Sambhutim cha vinasancha yastad vedo bhayam saha vinashena mrutyam tirtva sambhutya amrutam asnute. So very riddling, complex statements. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pahitam mukham tatvat pushanna satyadharmaya dushtaye pushanne karshayem surya prajapatya vyuharashmin samoha tejoyate. And then the Rishi is explaining the glory of the Supreme Ishwara. Vayur anilam amrutam adhetam hastantam shariram. Om. Now you see, before that, yo asavaso purusha sohamasmi. And before that, he has said, Pushan ekarshayam asurya prajapatya vyuharasmin samoha tejoyatte rupam kalyanatamam tatte pashyam. I am seeing your great, grand form. It's like Vishwarupa Sandarshan. Yo asavaso purushaha sohamasmi. Aham, I am that Purusha, I am that Purusha. Vayu Ranilam, which is comprising of Vayu and Agni, Amrutam, Adhedam, Bhasmantam, Shariram. Even after this body becomes Bhasma, ash, I am existing. I means the speaker is saying, I am Purusha. He is able to explain the notion of Aham Brahmasmi. Because the moment you realize that you are that, Tattvamasi, Svetaketu Tattvamasi, the Guru tells Svetaketu, oh Svetaketu, you are that. Because you cannot be different, because everything is only one. And you are that. And once you realize you are that, Aham Brahmasmi, I am everything, then you are liberated. That is jnana, that is moksha. Kratosmara, Kritam Smara, Kratosmara, Kritam Smara. I remember, I repeatedly remember again and again and experience. Agnenaya subhadharaye asman vishwani deva vainan vidwan yuyodhyasmadja juharanamevo bhuyishtante samavuktim namavuktim vidhema. So this is a Veda mantra from Yajurveda repeated. This is Yajurveda related Upanishad. And having explained the nature of the self and oneness, he concludes with the Shanti mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva vasishyate. I have already explained the meaning of this. Purna, that is Purna, and this is Purna. And even though this Purna came out from that Purna remains that Purna. The most profound philosophical, spiritual, mystic experience is sought to be explained in words, which is not possible, but yet to be attempted. That is what every Upanishad does. Each Upanishad is most profound, deepest, transcendental wisdom of the self, Adhyatma Vidya. I know I have not gone into each and every word and explained, because if I do that, it will take many days. We have only 3 days for the Upanishads. So yesterday is already over, today and tomorrow. So that's why I gave an overview of the essence of the thought process of the Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad. Now we go into the Mandukya Upanishad. Tomorrow we'll go into Taittiriya Upanishad. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunayama Deva Bhadram Pasyemarkshabhirya Jatra Sthirairangai Sushtuvagum Sustanubhi Vyasema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vruddhashrava Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda Swastina Starksho Arishthanemi Swastino Bruhaspatir Dadatu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. The Atharvavediya Mandukya Upanishad, it starts with the Shanti mantra, again from Atharvaveda. Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunayama Deva. May we all hear and listen all good things. Bhadra. Bhadram Pasyemarkshabhirya Jatra. May all we see only good things. Sthirairangai Sushtuvagum Sastanubhi. May all parts of all our bodies be strong. Vyasema Devahitam Yadayuhu. May all we work hard entire our lifetime for the benefit of Devatas, the nature, Prakriti, to protect and propitiate the Devatas. Swastina Indro. If we do that, then the Devatas will propitiate and strengthen us. Swastina Indro Vruddhashrava. May the Indra give me strength and welfare and nourishment. Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda, the Pushan, and Tarkshya Arishthanemihi. Swastino Bruhaspati. These are all the higher level Devatas. Bruhaspati may give me buddhi and welfare. Swasti Naha Bruhaspatir Dadatu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace at 3 levels: the physical, natural, and spiritual levels. Now, the Mandukya Upanishad is the unavoidable one, self-knowledge source. Of course, the Kathopanishad is also equally important, where the nature of the self-knowledge is acquired by Nachiketa from Yama. We have skipped it because we don't have time. But I can tell you briefly, the Kathopanishad is a dialogue between Nachiketa and Yama, where Nachiketa is asking, what is the nature of the self? So Yama gives the self-knowledge, which got conveyed in Bhagavad Gita also by same words, one by one. Many of the verses in Bhagavad Gita are directly imported from the Upanishads like Kathopanishad or Ishavasya Upanishad. Now the Mandukya Upanishad is explaining the nature of the self and Brahman both together. So when they say Atma in the Upanishads, it doesn't mean single Atma or my Atma and your Atma. It means only one Atma, which is Paramatma. Om Ityekaksharam Brahma. Om Ityedad Aksharam Idam Sarvam. The very first sentence of Mandukya Upanishad is Om. This Om is the one single letter which is everything. Om Ityedagam Aksharam Idam Sarvam. Idam means all this which you see is just Om. Tasyopa Vyakhyana Bhutam Bhutam Bhavat Bhavishyaditi Sarvam Omkara Eva. Whatever you see at present in the whole universe is Om. And to make it clear to you, not only at present, but what has happened in the past till the previous second, and what is going to happen in the next second onwards. Bhutat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva. That means trikala, that is all the three times, whatever exists is Om only. And even to clarify it further, yachar anyat trikalatitam tadapyonkara eva. Whatever is beyond the three times, present, past, and future, if there is anything called the fourth level, transcendent beyond time, that also is Om only. Just see the total universal coverage. Everything which you see, which you can observe in as universe, is Om at present, in the past, in future. And if there is anything beyond the three times of past, present, and future, that is also Om only. Om ityehad aksharam idagam sarvam tasyopavyakyanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva. Yacha anyat trikalatitam tadapyonkara eva. Sarvam hetad brahma ayam atma brahma. Brahma so ayam atma chatushpat. All this is Brahman. And this self is Brahman. Ayam atma brahma is one of the four Mahavakyas. Mahavakyas are great sentences which contain huge amount of deep meaning. Sarvam khalvidam brahma. And that is one Mahavakya from another Upanishad. For four Vedas, we have four Mahavakyas. For the Adhura Veda, Ayam Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. This is Mahavakya. Aso Ayam Atma Chatushpad. Now, if you want to understand God or Ishwara or Brahman, then you have to understand the self. If you understand the self, then you will understand God. Who am I? The self, which I just told you, the I-ness in all the beings, from amoeba or ant up to the supreme Mahat or Brahman, all that I-ness is one and the same. That self, if it is understood, then you understood God or Ishwara or Brahman. Ayamatma Brahma, because Brahman and self are one and the same. This is Advaita. Brahma. So Ayamatma Chatushpat. This self or Brahman is having four legs, four parts. Jagrita sthano bahiprajya saptanga ekona vimshati mukha sthula bhug vaishvanara pradhapada. The first part is the waking state. Right now we are in the waking state, Jagrita sthana, Jagrad avastha. We also went into sleep state, we also went into dream state. So we have gone to three states. So in each three states, the other states are lies, they are false. When you are in waking state, whatever has happened in the dream state is a big lie. It was a false perception. And whatever happened in Sushupti was also not to be considered. So similarly, when you are in Sushupti, in deep sleep, then whatever happens in waking state is forgotten. It's not there. And in dream state, again, you know that when you are dreaming, you don't know what has happened in the Jagritic state. That is what has happened in the case in Kasi on the Shivalingam or any other issue. You are in a different state of existence. So three states of existence we are shuttling every day. So he's now analyzing each one of these three, and there's a fourth also, he will come to it later. So first, Jagrita Sthana, that is waking state. Bahiprajnaha, the consciousness is external, extroversial. Saptangaha, it has 7 components. Ekamravimshati mukha, 21 phases. We are not going to explain what are those 21 phases. We know in waking state what all we see. The whole universe. Sthula bhuk, gross enjoyer. Vaishwanaraha, the name given is Vaishwanaraha, because Vishwa is universe. The whole universe which we are profoundly and very happily explaining in science and astronomy and cosmology and whatnot is just one state of our existence. Vaishwanaraha, Pradhama Pada, that is the first part. Swaprasthano Antaprajnaha Saptangaha Ekona Vimshati Mukha Pravivekta Bhuk Tejaso Dvitiyaha. So in the external, it is known as Vaishvanara in the dream state, which is second, the self is called Tejasa. It's just light, made of light. There is no body there. Swapnasthano antah prajnaha. The consciousness is introversial. In Jagrata Sthana, it is extroversial. And again, there is 21 faces and 7 components. It is called Tejasa, Taijasa, made of Tejas, made of light. Yatra supto na kanchana kamayate kamam na kanchana swapnam pasyati tat sushuptam. And then the third state, when you go to sleep, initially you may get some dreams. And also when you wake up next morning, you will get some dreams. But in between dreams, you are in deep sleep. You don't know what happened. Oh, I had a great sleep. You'll say, I had happy sleep. I'm so happy. If you don't get that sleep, you will not be alive at all. That self state, that sushupti it is called. Yatra supto na kanchana kamam kamayate. In the deep sleep, no desires exist. Na kanchana swapnam pasyati. No dreams exist. Tat sushuptam, that is called deep sleep. Sushuptasthanaha, in that state, eki bhutaha, one, just oneness yourself. Prajnana ghanaha, your dense consciousness. Ghana is dense. Prajnana is consciousness. Intelligence, consciousness, intelligence. Eva prajnana ghana eva anandamayaha. You are happily in yourself. Ananda bhuk, you are enjoying ananda, bliss. Cheto mukhaha, made up of only consciousness, chetana, self-consciousness. There are no 21 phases and all those things. Antaryami, chechona bhukaha, prajnaha tritiya padaha. That is known as prajna. So in the external world, extroversial, Vaishvanara, in dream it is Tejasa, in deep sleep it is prajna. The names given to the self. Tritiya padaha, third part. And you are shuttling between these three. And who are you? You are the self. And that self, Esha Sarveshwaraha, that self is Brahman. That self is Ishwara of all, Sarveshwara. Esha Sarvajnaha, it is omniscient. Esha Antaryami, it is the internal in being, dwelling self of all. Esha Yonihi Sarvasya, it is the birthplace of everything. Prabhavasya yauhi bhutanam, it is the source of creation of all beings. Atra Prabhavasya hi bhutanam. It's the most profound, unbelievable claim he is making. That self, which is shuttling between the three, that means I myself, shuttling and yourself, all the three states. That is Brahman. That is the source of creation. That is the source of all knowledge. That is containing all, comprising of all knowledge. Sarvajnaha Antaryami is pervading everywhere. Yonis Sarvasya Prabhavasya. It is the source, birthplace for all beings being created. Ayamatma Brahma. So Ayamatma Brahma. This self is Brahman. It's a very profound statement. This will not be understood or accepted by other religions. In Islam, they consider it as the greatest sin to say that you are God. But here I'm not saying I'm God. There is only God which is there, nothing else is there. So this is the Mandukya Upanishad. Finished the first part. Of course, Gaudapada, who is supposed to be from Bengal, he has given a profound commentary called Gaudapada Karika. Bahi prajno vibhur vishwan yanta prajnastu tejasaha ghana prajnastadha prajna eka eva tridha smrutaha. Only one, shuttling three states and getting three names. Dakshinabhimukhe vishwo manasyastasya tejasaha akashe cha hridi prajna तथा देहे व्यवस्थितः विश्वो हि स्थूलभुक् नित्यं तेजस प्रविभक्तभुक् आनन्दभुक्तस्तथा प्राज्ञस्त्रिधा भोगं निबोधतः. 3 states is enjoying 3 different जाग्रत स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु स्फुटतरया समिदजृम्भते या ब्रह्मादि पिपीलिकान्तनुषु प्रोक्ता जगत् साक्षिणी सा एवाहं न च दृष्टवस्तिति दृढ़ प्रज्ञा यस्यास्ति चेत् चण्डालोऽस्तु सद्विजोऽस्तु गुरुरित्येषा मनीषा मम. Adi Shankaracharya told this: he who realizes that oneself in all the 3 states, I am that and I am everything, he who has that knowledge is my guru, whosoever it is, Chandala or Brahmana. स्थूलं तर्पयति विश्वं प्रव्यक्तं तु तैजसं आनन्दश्च तथा प्राज्ञं तथा तृप्तिं निबोधतः. In 3 states there is a satisfaction of external gross world perception, and there is a dream perception of the subtle world, and there is a bliss perception, anandas tadha prajnam, in the deep sleep state, and tridha truptim nibodhata. In all the 3 states, the satisfaction is being reached. Trishdhamasu yad bhojyam bhoktayascha pragitata vaitadeta ubhayam tastu sabhunjano nalipyate. In all the 3, you are shuttling, but you are not getting affected. You are not getting tied up. You are not getting bound into each one of them, because if you get bound, you will not be able to come out to the other. So you are just going shuttling every day, continuously 3 times, non-stop. Prabhavas sarvabhavanam satamiti vinishya sarvam janayati pranascheto amsun purusha pradhak vibhutim prasantyanye manyante srushchintaka swapnamaya swarupeti srushtiranye vikalpita. Some people think this universe is only creation of your own thoughts, because if you ask what is this universe, this question will be answered differently by every being. Not only every human will give a different answer, but every animal will give a different answer. Because the cat can see in darkness, it can see infrared. You cannot say, I cannot see. The universe which the cat sees is totally different. The universe which the ant sees is totally different. And the universe each one of the human beings sees is totally different. Ichha matram prabho srishtiriti srishto vinischitaha. Some people say this universe is just a desire of the Lord. And some people say, Kalat prasutim bhutanam manyante kalachintaka. In time, all these beings come into existence and then go. Bhogardham srishriti anye kridardham iti chapare. Some people say it is meant for bhoga, and some people say it's meant for krida. Krida of whom? Krida means sport. Krida vastu akhilam jagat. About Krishna we talk. So the whole universe is just a game, a sport. Some people say, Devasya swabhavoyam aptakamasya kaspruheti. So this self is the God, is the creator, is Ishwara. This universe is just a maya, a manifestation, a game, a sport, or is just enjoyment. Now we come back to the Upanishad. Till now I told you the Gaudapada Karika. Na anta prajnam, na bahi prajnam, no bhayata prajnam, prajnam na prajnana ghanam, na prajnam, na prajnam. Adrishtam avyavaharyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam avyapadeshyam aikatmya pratyaysaram prapanchopashamam shantam shivam advaitam chaturdham manyante sa atma savinyaya. The most powerful statements in entire world literature are being shown here. This self, which is also Ishwara, God, Brahman, everything, it is neither internal consciousness like in dream, nor external consciousness like in waking state, nor both, nor it is prajnana ghanam as in deep sleep, only self. Prajnam na prajnam, it is neither conscious, neither intelligence nor non-intelligence. Adrishtam avyavahar, it is invisible, it cannot be dealt with, no transactions can be made. Agrahyam, it cannot be grasped. Alaksham, it has no descriptions of qualities. Achintyam, it cannot be thought about. Avyapadeshyam, aikatmya pratyasaram, the essence of oneself. Prapanchopashamam, the complete cessation of the universe. Shantam, the most peaceful. Shivam, the most blissful. Advaitam, oneness, non-dual. Chaturdham manyante, that is the 4th. What is this 4th? Sa atma savinyaya. That is the self to be known and understood. Now, there are multiple interpretations to this again. That fourth is a really fourth, a different state apart from Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti, or it is saying that the identity of that is different from all these three. Suppose I ask you a question, who are you? Then you say, I was Director General of NIC. Before that, I was Deputy Director General. Before that, I was Principal. Then before that, I was in TCS. Before. So who was there in all these things? Are only those things are true, or there is a fourth which is independent, that is myself, which is independent of all those things is true? Because I was there in all the different states. I was in waking state, I was in deep sleep, I was in dream. So I am not any one of those three states identities, but I'm independent identity. That is the fourth state. That is independent identity is what is being explained. That is not a separate state, but I am an identity which is independent, which is not any one of these three, but I shuttle between the three, but I am actually independent. So that is called fourth, Turiya. Chaturdham Manyante, that is Shivam, Shantam, Advaitam. Chaturdham Manyante, Sa Atma, that is the self. Savijñeyaha, that is to be known. Nivritte Sarvadu. Now Gaudapada is commenting. Nivritte Sarvadukhanam Ishana Prabhunaveha. Advaita Sarva Bhavanam Devas Turyo Vibhusmita. Karya Karana Badhauta Vishyete Vishwasteyaso. Prajna Karana Badhastu Advato Turya. So he's explaining Atmananna Param Seva Rasatyam Chavyanratam. Prajna Kinchana Samveti Turyam. So Dvaitasya Agrahanam Tulyam Abhayo is all going very deep into the hair splitting analysis of what is said, because he explains what has been said in the Upanishad. So what is this Turiya? Anyatha Grindhara Swapno Nidra Tattumarajata Viparyase Tayokshine Turiyam Padamaskute Anadi Mayaya Supto Yada Jiva Prabudjate Ajam Anidram Aswapnam Advaitam Budjate Praha. As Shankaracharya also explained in one of his many of his works, just as a person who is asleep will not know that he is in sleep. Only when he wakes up, he knows that, oh, I was sleeping. So when you wake up to the fourth state, Turiya, then you realize that you were in one of these three previously. Because otherwise you are always involved in one of the three without fail. Even right now we are in waking state. But we are trying to reach the fourth state, which is beyond all the three. So that is what is being explained. Anadi Mayaya Supto Yada Jivaha. Due to Maya, this Jiva is always sleeping. Jiva Prabudjate, if he wakes up, Ajam Anidram Aswapnam Advaitam Budjate Tada. If he wakes up from this ignorance, then he realizes that he is the eternal, infinite Parabrahman. Prapancho yadi vidyeta nivarteta na samshayaha maya matramidam dvaitam advaitam paramatma. Whether this universe exists or it doesn't exist, it doesn't matter, because I, the Supreme Brahman, exists, and that is Advaita, only one without a second. Vikalpo vimirteta kalpito yadi kelachit upadeshadayam vajo jnate dvaitam na vidyate. So once you realize Advaita, there is no Dvaita. The most profound explanations of Mandukya Upanishads is given by Gaudapada, which is translated into the dogma or doctrine of Advaita by Adi Shankaracharya. It's not a dogma, but it's a doctrine, which was proved with logical analysis. Now again, going back to the Upanishad, Soyamatma Adhyaksharam Omkara. So this self is, because we have told, he has already told in the beginning, this self is Om. This Brahman is Om. So Ayamatma Adhyaksharam Omkara Adhimatram Pada Matra Matra Sibada Akara Ukara Makara iti. Because in the beginning he said everything is Om. So Om is comprising three parts, A, U and Ma. Jagrata Sthano Vaishvanaro Akaraha. So that A is representing the Jagrada Avastha, the fellow who is Vaishvanara, that is A. And then in the U is representing the Swapnasthana. Vaishvanaro Akar Prathama Matra Apter Adimatva Dva Apnoti Havai Sarvan Kamana Adischa Bhavati Evam Veda. Swapnasthana Taijasa Ukaro Dvitiya Matra Utkarshad Vayatvat Va Utkarshati Havai Jnana Saptatim Samanascha Bhavati Nasya Brahma Vitkure Prabhati Evam Veda. Sushuptasthana Prajno Makara Trutiya Matra Vitera Pite Va Minoti Va Hava Idam Sarvam Apitischa bhavati evam Veda. So Ukara is for dream state and Maka, Ma. Om has Ma in it, last. That is the deep sleep state within himself. So what about the fourth state? When you chant all Om together, whatever comes out, that is the fourth state. So when you write Om, they write like number 3 and put a kind of a curve. And then there is one half zero and Ardha Chandra and then the dot. That dot is indicating the fourth state. And the rest is indicating 3 states. A, U, Ma. Vishwasya Atma Vivakshaya Adima Samanya Utkatam Matra Sampratipato Syadapi Samanyamevacha Tejasasyottva Vijnane Utkarsho Drishyate Spudam. So A is indicating the entire universe. That is the waking state. Aksharana Makarosmi, Krishna said in the Gita. So A itself means the entire universe, the waking state. And U is indicating Utkarsha, happiness and dream. You get all dream, all kinds of enjoyable dreams. Tejasasyottva Vijnane Utkarsho Drishyate Spudam Matra Sampratipatto Syat Ubhayatvam Tadhavidam Makara Bhave Prajnasya is just you are going into yourself. Makara Bhave Prajnasya Manasa Manyam Utkatam Matra Sampratipatto to Layas Samanyamevacha. You are getting absorbed into yourself. In Trishudhamasu Yatulyam Samanyam Veti Nishchita. What is common between all the 3? Sapujyaha, Sarvabhutanam, Vandyaha, Chaisha Mahamuni. He who knows what is common between all the 3. He is Muni, he is Mahamuni, he is Puja, he is to be worshipped. Akaro Naite Vishwamukarascha Tejasam, Makarascha Punah Prajam, Namatre Vidyate Gatihi. So, Gaudapada has explained what has been told in the Upanishad. Now again, the Upanishad we are getting Amatras Chaturdho Avyavaharyaha. The fourth is Amatra. It is not A, U or Ma, but something beyond it, but it exists comprising all the 3 and beyond. Avyavaharyaha, it cannot be transacted or explained in worldly terms. Prapanchopashamaha, that is the transcendental supreme being. Prapancha upashamaha, Shivaha, Advaita, Evam Omkara, Atmaiva. That is Om, that is the self. Samvishatyatma Atmanam Evam Veda Ityupanishad. The Mandukya Upanishad is over. Of course, Gaudapada is giving elaborate descriptions. I will only read one paragraph and close. Omkaram Padasho Vidyat Pada Matrana Samshaya. Omkaram Padasho Jnatva Nakinchida Vichintaye. Yunjita Pranave Chetaha. Pranavo Brahma Nirbhayam. Pranava is Om, is Brahman. Pranave Nityayuktasya Nabhayam Vidyate. He who is established in Om. That's why the highest upasana, highest mantra is Om itself. Because those who are self-realized, those who want to be self-realized, even sannyasis, they all will be doing upasana only Om. Pranave Nityayuktasya Nabhayam Vidyate Kvachit. Pranavo Hyaparam Brahma. Pranavascha Parasmrutaha. Pranava is the transcendental Brahman. Pranava is highest. Apurvo na antaro bahyo na parah pranavo vyaha. Sarvasya pranavo hyadi adi madhyantamastadevacha. Evam hi pranavam jnatva yasnute tadanantaram. Pranavam hi Ishwaram vidyat. Realize Pranava is Ishwara. Sarvasya hrudi samsthitam. Where is that Ishwara? It is there in all beings in the heart. Sarvasya chaham hrudi sannivishto mattasmriti jnanamapohanam. That Ishwara in your heart is Pranava, Om. So we be established in deep absorption of Om Pranava. Sarva vyapinam omkaram atva matva dhiro na shochati. You all spread Om, meditate on it, realize it in your own self, in your own heart. Amatro anantamatrascha. It is without any sound and it is infinite sound. Without any matra and it is infinite mantra. Amatro anantamatrascha. Dvaitasya upashama shivaha. The end of all duality and it is blissful state. Shiva. Omkaro vidito. Shiva himself is that Om. Omkaro vidito yena. Samunirneta rojana samunihi. He who knows that Om, who realizes, he is Muni. This is the Gaudapada Karika, and of course it goes on more than this. It will be very elaborate. It is giving some 20 pages or 10 pages on the Vaitatya Prakaranam, the delusion, the falsification of the universe as it appears. Then there is a chapter Advaita Prakaranam, and that is what is the core doctrine of Advaita, which Adi Shankaracharya took forward from his great-grand teacher. And finally, Alata Shanti Prakaranam. They will be very deep and very much beyond the scope of this present course. And we have completed the Mandukya Upanishad. We close with a mantra. Bhadram karne bhisrunayama deva Bhadram pasyemarkshabhirya jatra Sthirairangai stushtvagum sastanubhi Vyasema devahitam yadayu Swasti na indro vruddhashravaha Swasti na pusha vishvavedaha Swasti na starksho arishthanemihi Swasti no bruhaspati dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we have a few minutes, we can do some meditation. Close your eyes and meditate on the self, the Om. What has been explained in the Mandukya Upanishad. All of you join me in chanting long Om, deep long Om. Take deep breath. All right, so we have finished today's session, and do we have still some time for any questions?
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Now let us have some question answer session, interaction with Prabhuji. He has no time today. Anybody wants to interact, raise your hand. Shugan Vemuri.
Yeah, go ahead, ask the question.
Sir, namaste.
Go ahead, Ji. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, I just want to know this Gaudapada, whether he has his commentary came much before Shankaracharya's or after Shankaracharya?
Gaudapada is the grand guru of Shankaracharya.
Oh.
Shankaracharya's guru is Govinda. Govinda's guru is Gaudapada.
Oh, thank you.
There was one question yesterday.
Yes, go ahead.
Aranyaka, can you explain, yesterday that question?
Yeah, Aranyakas are forest discussions in the Gurukulas, our institutions. In the olden days, the institutions were in the forests. So they are the discussions which are recorded, they are called Aranyakas. Brihad Aranyaka is one of the biggest Upanishad is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It is so big and so complex that it is very difficult to even study the entire thing. And that is an Aranyaka by itself. This is an example. There are other Aranyakas also. Taittiriya Aranyaka may be there, and I'm not having those things with me, but those texts are there. There are also philosophical discourses, questions and answers, but more connected with the Karma Kanda of the Vedas and going towards the philosophical in-depth questions, which finally get into a total top level in the Upanishad itself. So when you study the Upanishads, you are already getting the benefit of Aranyakas also. So Brihad also became Upanishad. It is both Aranyaka and Upanishad.
Okay. Narasimham ji, would you like to ask your question? What he writes is, sir, reality.
Yes.
Something he wrote in now. Hate is the reality. What is this? Could you ask your question, please?
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
Just I want to express Advaita is not a doctrine, because a doctrine is something which cannot be cannot withstand a scientific and logical examination, whereas Advaita is a reality itself.
I agree. No, what I mean by doctrine in the sense Siddhanta, what I mean is Siddhanta.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Multiple Siddhantas came later to distinguish that. In English, what is the word we use? You tell me. You can't say dogma. Dogma means blind belief. That's why I use the word doctrine, though it is not a correct word, because there is no other word in English. Siddhanta word.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Jhansi, would you like to ask your question? Jhansi Male.
Sir, Namaste ji.
Namaste.
This knowledge is very vast, and it is difficult to understand for beginners like us. And if we wanted to read it in detail, please suggest some authenticated books so that we can try to.
Yeah, I already showed you the Upanishads books were published in Ramakrishna Math. Just go to Ramakrishna Math bookshop.
Okay.
You will get plenty of books on Upanishads.
Thank you,
Right
sir.
from introduction, like Swami Ranganathananda wrote a book called The Message of Upanishads. It's an introduction.
Okay.
And there are many books. I mean, like 108 Upanishads you cannot get. You will get limited Upanishads, but it will take a whole lifetime to study and understand.
Yeah, that's true. But to see something like, now
No, you have to.
we
But
start,
in fact,
we can.
it is now I'm close to 70 years. I have been studying this for the last 60 years at least, and still I am studying. It is a unparalleled, uncomparable journey of discovery, and of course it has to be associated with sadhana. It's not just theory. Just theory will not work. So the practice, the
yes.
meditation, the pranayama, the yoga abhyasa, the sadhana has to be.
Because when you are reading these Upanishads in the sense of physics or chemistry, that because you are a technical person and on the engineering side, you are able to relate your subject with that Upanishads. Sometimes me also as a doctor, when I read certain things and when you are telling certain things, I'm also related to some medical related things. So that's why I just wanted to explore more on my knowledge relating to that Upanishads or whatever Vedas, so that we can think about more laterally.
Definitely. See, now the entire Ayurveda is a vast subject.
Yes.
It is a subject of interest to medical profession like you.
So we can experiment on that, because we are in institutes where we can do some experiments. So I just wanted to know what are the subjects related to my knowledge, so that I can expand that.
You please acquire a book called Charaka Samhita.
Okay.
There is an English translation also by P.V. Sharma.
Oh.
And you can get it from Amazon or some such place, and you understand Charaka Samhita. Charaka Samhita is also based on the Vedas and the Upanishads and VSS. Of course, the
Yeah.
Upanishads are going way beyond all this.
Yes,
Uh,
even in our medical books, it says that Charaka and Sushruta are the father of medicine and surgery.
Not just founders, they are the originators, and your
Yeah.
so-called medical books, they are just copied.
Fathers,
Encyclopedia Britannica explains very clearly that all the surgical instruments utilized today in modern surgery are just imported, directly taken from Sushruta.
Besides Charaka Samhita, Bhava Prakasha also can be studied.
No,
Bhava
Prakasha is a
Prakasha,
recent.
volume 1 and 2.
Bhava Prakasha is a recent one, 14th century AD.
Regarding
Charaka
this
Samhita is the oldest.
Ayurveda.
Charaka Samhita is
Regarding
the oldest.
Ayurveda. Yes, I know. Charaka Samhita and Susrutas were very ancient. Bhava Prakasha came at modern age. Even then, it's very easy to understand. If we go through this Bhava Prakasha, Ayurveda, how it originated from God Brahma and how it came into existence in this world. And regarding all topics of Ayurveda are also covered in Bhava Prakasha, volume 1 and 2. Because she
Thank
is
you, madam.
questioning about her.
And there's a Bhava Prakash Nighantu also, Materia Medica.
Bhava Prakasha Nikhantu also, correct.
Okay,
Then
thank
next,
you. Thank you, madam.
Any other questions?
Gautamji,
Welcome.
Gautamji, would you like to ask any question?
Sir, actually, Namaskar.
Namaskar.
I wanted to ask you that you mentioned about theory of relativity in the context of when it depends upon the observer. But that's also the quantum mechanics itself gives whether a different frame or not. It is relative to the observation process itself. Means that Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, according to that. So you cannot know for certain if you want to measure something, that measuring instrument itself is interacting with the process of measurement. So suppose we are seeing each other by we're seeing the reflected light basically. What do we mean by seeing something? We actually capture that reflected light. So, but light, the photon size, I mean that weight of the light is much less than the object we are seeing. So it is not getting disturbed. But when imagine seeing an electron, how to see electron? Electron have to be seen by firing electron gun itself. So in that process, they interact and they get disturbed. We are not able to know the reality, the fineness of the objects that we want to observe. There is an inherent uncertainty or non-observability is there. Non-observing, we cannot observe the nature that way. So that actually this Gyan Geta Geo, observer, observe, and the process of observation, they all three have some interaction, and that is quantum mechanics almost reached to that this Upanishadic idea from their very external kind of experiment point of view, and which our rishis realized through Dharma.
That's why I was giving names of many scientists, German scientists who are quantum mechanic experts and who have identified, like take Schrodinger. Schrodinger is an expert of Upanishads and Vedanta. He himself explained what is Maya in Schrodinger's equation.
Sir, one more thing is that we call it Agni. Suppose the electric current, will it fall under the Teja category?
Energy, that's called Vidyut. Garbho Saushadhinam, Garbho Vanaspathinam, Bhutasya, Vishwasya, Agne, Garbho Apamas. So it has been referred, and in VSS Sutras, the electricity has been explained. Not Benjamin Franklin was not the first man to discover electricity. It was there known long back, and it has been interpreted in a different way in the Sanskrit text. Many instruments were also made. So it is a different
current electricity was known. But the Vidyut actually the thunder is static electricity, no problem. But current electricity was known in the Vedic times.
Yes, no, I'm not talking of alternating current. Today is our alternating current technology. I'm not, because that is not what is being explained there. It
I,
is-
I was reading that Augusta.
That is battery.
had some
Battery.
battery.
DC was known because when I come to my lecture on Viman Shastra, I will explain some of the yantras in Viman Shastra. So DC is there. There are 13 electrical machines in Viman Shastra.
But they never tried to, while passing that DC through somewhere, what is this interaction with the magnet? That was not. That was the, I think,
They have not.
plus 300 years only.
To my knowledge, the present day AC power distribution was not there.
Yeah, yeah.
It is only DC, and it was used in different ways in different machines.
When it came that the current is interacting with the magnet, so when magnet is rotated, again the current can be generated the opposite way.
So
that was the invention of the
motor and generator were there in the Viman Shastra, but not this power supply distribution and all those things. Because first of all, the population was very small. And whatever they were required, they made it only for particular individuals. Like Vimanas also, only few Vimanas were there for few individuals. Not that the entire population will travel in Vimanas. Today it is a different scenario. So we'll examine that and that time at Viman Shastra.
Sir, how many slokas are there in each of them? Because it's a the Organs are very big, but
no, they are very small. The Upanishads are very small. Upanishads
less than 100, I think. No,
yeah, very small. Today I have read out all slokas in the Ishavasya and Mandukya. Both I could cover, but that's not enough. The understanding, explanation is what is important. They are very small, very, very brief. They are like formulas.
Okay. Kasula Mallikarjun, what do you want to say?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, sir, that was a mistake. I was typing while you are introducing CSR Prabhu. That was my mistake.
Okay. And then,
sir, I want a clarification.
Yesterday and today, the whole lectures are completely busy.
Yes, go ahead.
So,
There are 18 mantras in Ishavasya Upanishad and only 12 mantras in Mandukya. They are they are very, but there are only limited mantras, but they are having very profound meaning. And the biggest is Brihadaranyaka, and after that Chandogya.
Yes, correct.
okay.
Sir, I want a clarification.
Yes. What?
Who is that?
Sir, I am Narsimha.
Okay, go ahead.
Sir, I understand avidya as seeing reality as non-reality, but aparavidya and paravidya. Paravidya is Brahman, aparavidya is Laukika Vidya. So what subjects like physics and engineering, all that comes under aparavidya, not avidya.
No, that is Mandukya Upanishad classification.
Am I right?
No, different Upanishads have different terms used. So what you are telling is the Mundaka Upanishad. In the Mundaka Upanishad, which is before Mandukya,
Yes.
in the Mundaka Upanishad, he have classified into Dve Vidye, Paracha, Aparacha. So there, under Aparavidya, even Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, everything is covered as Aparavidya only. Not only mathematics.
Yes. But
so that is a different category.
Avidya is
No, 1 minute. No, that's what I'm saying. The word terminology used depends on the particular Upanishad. So in the Mundaka Upanishad, what you are telling that Paravidya, Aparavidya terminology is utilized. Mandukya, that terminology is not utilized. Mandukya is a different thing. Every Upanishad is independently operating. So the terminology meanings of the words will be different. Whereas in Bhagavad Gita, same thing, Ajnanam he has said, except Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam Satya Jnana Arthadarshanam Etajnanam Iti Proktam Ajnanam Yatato Anyatha. Anything other than the spiritual is Ajnana, the word he has used. So we don't have to be perturbed because the words used will be different in different Shastras and different Upanishads.
Because avidya particular, because that was used in Adhyasa Bhasha by Shankara.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
Adhyasa, Avidya and Midya he has used.
yeah, yeah.
But and this apara can be used for all our Laukika Vidyas.
No, that is not
Avidya
only Laukya, even Vedas are considered as apara.
Yes, sir. Because
Oh, there-
non-Brahman aspects of yes, all the four Vedas are also apara as per
But why?
Mundaka.
No, that's what. See, that it is again, we have to tolerate the local definitions. We cannot cut across and get a universal.
Sir, my yes, sir, the clarification I am seeking, avidya specifically allude to seeing non-reality as real. Seeing non-reality, if I think is real, then that is avidya. If I see God in a idol, it is vidya only. If I see rock, God as rock, it is avidya.
No, that's what I'm saying. Those words are used differently by different authors. The meaning they convey, like Patanjali, the word avidya is used in a different context. Anicca, anatmana, asuchishu, nitya, sukhatma, khyati, avidya. To see nitya in anicca, asuchi, shuchi in ashuchi, etc., etc. So, whereas in Shankaracharya's comments, avidya is equivalent to maya. That is different. So here it is different. Mandukya, see, they all belong to different time periods, different linguistic utilization of words. The words mean different things in different contexts. Same word will mean different in different contexts.
Yes,
now, avidya you can also explain as Maya, therefore Prakriti, therefore Adi Parashakti, therefore Lalita Parameshwari. So you can say all those things.
Yes, yes.
So you see what I'm saying. So you have to go by the context. It's all context sensitive, and you have to interpret correctly for that context only.
Okay.
Okay, next.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll have only one last question by Shastri Garu. Vemuri Shastri Garu.
No, Mahodaya, SD Judge Gargar also is waiting.
Yeah, Gargi, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's waiting.
Okay. Gargi, you have unmuted, but why your speech is not coming out?
It's not audible.
You are not audible, Gargi.
Yeah, namaskar. Very much enlightening lecture. And we studied in the same IIT Bombay. So I am a brother of Ramakrishna, Vemuri Ramakrishna. So I hear what I wanted to know, why God has left us in confusion and Agyan so much, learning, and then everybody doesn't get opportunity from the beginning. Like people are knowledgeable, and that means there is, unless you put efforts from the bottom of, early stage of your life, probably you may not be getting matured and then understand the whole world. And then so many versions you are mentioning, why all this confusion? Our buddhi is not sufficient to understand these things. Why God is not helping us in Kali Yuga?
So you want to ask Prabhuji why God is not doing that?
No, you should ask God. Please send this question to God by email.
I don't know the email.
For that, you have to go to deep meditation to God.
See,
That's the whole idea.
Our Laukik itself is not understood. You are saying a very big thing which is not achievable.
Okay. No, it can be only experienced in deep meditation. Sadhana is required. That is the only answer I can.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving a lot of time for question answers. And it is, it's a great session for all of us. Thank you.
We are highly enlightened out of your
SD Gargaru, your speech is not coming out. That's why we could not take your. Okay, you put your question in the chat box. So tomorrow we will try and address that. Okay, and now let's have Shanti Prarthana again. Shanti Mantra.
Shall I start?
Yeah. Please, please.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यसेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्योऽरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pasyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Swasti.
Dhanyavadaha. CC Babuji, can you unmute yourself?
Right. Okay.
Okay, let's have Jana Gana Mana. All of you, please stand up. Let us respect our national flag. Please go ahead.
Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Uttar Vindhya Himachal Yamuna Ganga Ujjwala Jaladi Taranga Tav Shubha Nami Tav Shubha Ashish Mange Jana Gana Mangala Dhayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidhata Jaya He